Hello, everybody. This is Jason Whitney with the weekly wellness program. Thought we were going to do something a little different today. Unfortunately, you're going to be seeing a lot of my mug. So we're not going to do a PowerPoint today. We're going to be doing some demonstrations a little bit. And so just welcoming you to the weekly program. If you'll just go to the right side of the screen and text me a little message, let me know that you can hear me, you can see me, and I know that technology is working in our favor today. Just give everybody a few minutes to get ready to come in and see what we're doing. Hopefully you're not going crazy out there with the holidays, with all the crazy shopping. I'll admit, excuse me, years ago, when the internet was becoming more and more popular, I didn't really see that people would be shopping online. But I have to admit, I don't think I bought one item in the store this year. No, none. So that's amazing. The way things change. Brick and mortar stores have a challenge unless it's going to be absolute, like changing your tires. You're buying a car, or you can buy a car online now. But I think a lot of the brick and mortar businesses are going to have a tough time competing when it can be shipped. So just another minute here, giving everybody a chance. Just send me a little text saying, "Yes, Jason, I can hear you. I can see you." And I'll know that Jess, thank you very much. She can hear and hear me. See and hear. Thank you. All right, we're going to get started. This is a weekly program that we have coming at you every single week that talks about wellness, talks about what it takes to be well, what a lot of clinical studies that I use as our backup, as the justification for what I'm saying. I am a trained food scientist that specializes in metabolic syndrome and chronic disease for the last 10 years. Man, wait a minute, it's almost 12 years now. I've been working with doctors and clinics around the country, helping them set up a in-practice protocol that switches from using medications as much to help overcome chronic disease like obesity and diabetes and digestive disorders and heart disease and high blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that. And they are very successful, and it's growing. This year we'll have a great campaign to pick up even more doctors and more people online. And that's what I've been doing. And all I've done is I'm sharing my journey. I didn't used to be healthy, didn't used to be of ideal weight, and having my biomarkers, my cholesterol, my glucose, my insulin levels, all where they're supposed to be. 12 years ago, I was a financial analyst working tons of hours, almost 300 pounds. I wrestled in college, and I got a little out of control and working way too many hours, eating an extra meal because I was awake, right? And I had over 10 chronic issues, and I just couldn't, my ego just couldn't allow me to use the 6 prescriptions my doctor gave me after my physical to take care of my chronic issues. And I delved into reading clinical studies. It inspired me so much to change my career, to help other people struggle through, or because people were struggling through the same issues that I was, on how to become healthy. I did it in 12 weeks, lost 76 pounds, 78 pounds actually, and got rid of all my biomarkers. My doctor couldn't believe it. Did it without exercise. I exercise every day, and I believe in exercise, but I wanted to do it without exercise because I know a lot of people won't exercise. And so I wanted to show that when you're talking about weight loss, exercise just isn't very effective. It's not. The studies are clear. You've even experienced it. You go into the gym, you're planning on losing, that 10, 15, 20, 30 maybe more pounds of extra weight. You work out really hard. Maybe you get a trainer and you find out 2 months later you've gained weight. That's a good thing. You're more hydrated. You have put on some muscle mass, but your weight loss, well, really not a lot. It's because we're made to be able to be very active and not burn off stored fat. It's all about diet. It really is. Exercise can help a little bit, but man, 90% of your weight loss is going to be through diet. I use exercise for strength building, to strengthen my bones, for stretching, making sure I have mobility, for cardiovascular increase, things like that. So exercise is great. It's just not great at losing weight. So let's go into what we're going to talk about. If you look behind me here, you'll see that I've got some props. What in the world is up with all these things we've got here? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because the thing that happened 12 years ago, well, it stopped 12 years ago. Prior to that, I just always had an upset stomach. It really started in high school. I wouldn't have it every single day, but as I became an adult, when I really got out of shape, I'd have a stomach ache every single day. It would, from when I went to bed to when I woke up. The only time I didn't have a stomach ache was right when I was eating a meal or immediately after. But about 30 minutes after that, I mean, sometimes it was so bad, I would curl, bend over, just wondering, please make it stop. Went to the doctor. I didn't have ulcers. They didn't know what was wrong. Nothing seemed to work. And I just got used to it. It was just part of my life. And all that went away when I lost all the weight. Now, it wasn't because of the weight that I had the digestive issues. It was because of something else. It was because I had a horrible digestive system. Now, all of us are going to experience a stomach ache every once in a while. I notice that I'll get a stomach ache, maybe once a quarter now, where I'll change. For me, I'm very, very sensitive with my digestive system. If I'm changing seasons, sometimes from winter to spring, or from mostly summer to winter is where I'll start to get an upset stomach. And then I have now an easy fix for that. When I'm traveling, sometimes I'll get a little bit of a stomach ache. And then foods, man. A study done, it was a huge study, 20,000 people involved. It lasted for 8 years, all ages. And it was to identify how much of the foods we were actually absorbing, that we're actually taking in at the cellular level. And they found that of Americans, the digestive quality was at 47%, meaning people, the average person, is only absorbing 47% of the nutrients that they're getting, the vitamins and minerals and proteins and fats and carbohydrates, which explains, or the theory of the study also theorized that that's one of the reasons why we eat more than we did a decade before or 2 decades prior. Why are our serving sizes so much bigger? Because our body's saying, look, you're only giving me half at the cellular level of what you just ate. So I'm going to send you a signal that your appetite has grown. So eat more, because I need more nourishment, because I can't pull that out of the food. Now, there are some studies that show that part of the reason why that is because the food quality is not as good, meaning at the food macronutrient level, the vitamins and minerals are not packed in our food like it was 40 and 50 years ago. All right, there's some truth to that. I don't argue that, but that doesn't explain things like protein and fat and carbohydrates. Why are those diminishing? And the solution, or the argument that the study revealed, is that our digestive quality, how powerful our stomach is, our digestive system. I shouldn't say just stomach, because that's only part of our digestive system. Our digestive system starts right here when we start chewing food. Our system isn't as strong. And what is the primary cause? Digestive enzymes. Most of the time, when you hear someone saying, I'm lactose intolerant, I'm gluten intolerant, I'm carbohydrate intolerant, or I can't handle spicy foods, a fatty meal like fried chicken, I can't handle, I get a stomach ache. If you have ever experienced that, it is not that you're intolerant of the food, like you're not gluten intolerant. It's more likely that you're enzyme deficient. You don't have enough of the enzymes necessary to break down the food that you just ate. It's not that your cells are rejecting it, it's that your cells are not getting it. And because your enzymes are not able to break it down. And then as that food is still there, not broken down, it starts to putrefy. It starts to rot and oxidize. And then our stomach doesn't like that. And then we get the stomach ache. Or we'll get an allergic type of a reaction. So what's important to note is if you really are dairy intolerant, let's say, at the cellular level, and you'll have a rash, you'll have maybe some cankers in your mouth. That allergic type reaction is the same reaction you'll get if you're enzyme deficient. Okay, let me say that again. So you could have somebody over here that really is lactose intolerant of the dairy food. Over here, we have a person that has the same symptoms, the same effects of this person over here. They have the cankers, they have the rashes, they don't feel well. But the person on the right here has that symptom not because they're cellularly intolerant, it's because the enzymes are not there to break that food down. And the net result is the same. Most studies show that that is over 90% of those that are diagnosed at their doctor have determined that it is an enzyme deficiency, not a cellular deficiency. So if it's something that you want to check out, it's an easy check. Just boost up your digestive enzymes, then try that food in a small quantity and see if you can handle it. Now that's, of course, if I don't want you to go into anaphylactic shock, right? If you're that severe, then, that's not a good solution. But if you're just getting a little bit upset stomach, then a little bit of a rash, then take a tiny bit and see if you have that issue after your digestive system is boosted back up. All right. So how can we do that? How can we boost our digestive system back up? Well, taking our meal replacement shake is one way. It has a broad spectrum of enzyme. There's not everyone in there, not all the ones that, and quite frankly, not all the ones that we need. There's over 300 different enzymes that are floating around in our stomach or can, and you don't have all of them. Lots of things can kill them. Like I mentioned, the season changing, drinking really hot drinks can kill them. Drinking alcohol, drinking soda pop can kill them. High carbohydrate sugars and meals can have an effect on certain kinds of enzymes. Medications can kill them. If you take if you go in and the doctor gives you an antibiotic to kill off the bacteria that you have, that'll kill the good guys too. And that kills your gut. That's why actually in Europe, whenever they give you a medication for treating a bacterial virus, they will also give you a probiotic right next to it. They just tell you to take it 4 or 5 hours after you've taken the antibiotic. Because if you take them at the same time, then it doesn't do any good. They get killed, right? So you want to take it in between. And that is very important because studies have shown that after a person has taken around 12 days, typically is the normal time frame of antibiotic regimen, their digestive enzyme is at a minimum 50% depleted and as much as 85% diminished from before they took the antibiotic. And it can take, eating properly, or normally I should say, it can take 6 months to 10 months to rebuild that back up. Well, I don't want to take that long. So if you supplement, you can boost it right up immediately. So let's go back to what the stuff is in the back. What this is I'm going to give you the end story, just so we can see it a little bit here. And I know it's really a surprise. Look at this. Oh, that is white, creamy, wonderful yogurt. Not just any yogurt. I love yogurt, always have. Admit that before I started the protocol, I'd eat a lot of the fruit yogurts. I don't eat those anymore, or at least not the ones that I buy in the store. Too many sugars. But that is homemade yogurt. So let me explain how that is used as a tool in making sure that my family's digestive system is strong and happy. Okay? So let me just reach back and start grabbing some of these things. These are some of the ingredients. You don't have to use all of them, but here's some of them of what I use. Now here is just a yogurt machine. This happens to be a Cuisinart. This one is an electronic yogurt maker with automatic cooling. Oh, that's kind of cool. And it has little programming stuff of how many hours. It's really simple. It just has a hollow little, there's the heating pad and the cooling pad that heats up the yogurt and then cools it back down. So I decided to get that when I first started making yogurt, because when I read about it and watched the YouTube experts on how to make the yogurt, I gotta admit, I'm a food scientist. It was a little confusing. It was just hard. I had to get the temperatures right. I had to time it at the right time, because you can't get it too hot. You can't cook it for too long. Then you got to cool it down as fast as possible, but you don't want to freeze it. It was kind of hard. So I got the machine, and then I went online and I bought these little packets, these little tear-off packets of yogurt cultures, right? That makes the yogurt be yogurt. And I found out those are not easy to find. I went to stores around Salt Lake City where I live, and I must have went to 4 or 5 stores. Didn't have any. They're just looking at me like, no, we don't sell that. Only could find it online, and it was expensive. And then I figured, okay, Jason, be the scientist and hack this down. What is it that makes yogurt yogurt? And it's just bacteria, right? And usually when you buy a yogurt like this one here, okay, this one happens to be from Kirkland, a Greek yogurt. There's only one, maybe 2 strains in there that makes it be yogurt. It's really simple, but it gives it that texture and that feel, right? So I wanted to go more because I wanted to have a remedy for myself when I have a stomach ache. I want to boost my immune system. How's the best way I can do that? 60% of the strength of your immune system, your body's ability to fight off infection and invaders that are hitting your body, is the strength of your microbiome. Microbiome means just bacteria that's in your digestive system. So how strong that is, 60% of that, at minimum, translates to how strong your immune system is. Why? Because those microbiome bacteria teach your immune system how to fight the bad guys, right? So that's why I want it. Also, I love ice cream. I really do. But I got to admit, buying the ice cream in the store is, well, not the healthiest thing. And I don't want to feed that to our kids and have them deal with all the advanced problems that they will suffer. I don't want them to have high glucose levels nonstop. Definitely not as much as they want to eat it. And so what I did is, the easiest thing is to, rather than make ice cream, I do have a surprise for you in future videos to solve that problem. But for now, I did yogurt. And yogurt is a lot like yummy ice cream. So I feed that to our kids, and they love it. They have it almost every day. They come home from school, they want a little snack, they'll take that. I've even had them because it's so yummy, they'll take when they're off track, meaning that they're out of school. It's kind of like summer break, and we're working, and we have them go to a place, babysitters basically. But you got to bring your own lunch. So sometimes they'll actually take the yogurt and take that as their main lunch. Okay, that's not a complete meal, is it? Or can it be? So I'm going to explain about how to take food like yogurt and make it be a yummy, healthy, properly balanced treat, but also a meal. So let's kind of go into how I do that. So what I'm doing is, the problem with yogurt when you buy it in the store is if you turn this over, now Greek yogurt, not all Greek yogurts are the same. First, you got to get a yogurt that's plain, right? It doesn't say plain on here, but always, there it is. It says plain. The reason why you want plain is because whenever it has a flavor like vanilla, it means it's also sweetened. But even if it says plain, you want to turn it right over. You want to look right here on the carbohydrate reading, and you want to get the one that's the lowest amount of sugars. Now, don't be fooled. Sometimes you'll have one that has, for example, this one says 7 grams of total carbohydrates, but right down below it, look what it says in the sugars. So total sugars are 3. Sometimes the ratio of the sugars to the total carbohydrates is much higher. So if you have another brand, and let's say the other brand was, excuse me, let's say it was 6 lower, right, than this one at 7, but the sugars were 5. Which one do you want to get? You want to get the one that has higher total carbohydrates, but lower sugars. It's going to give you a lower insulin response, and that's what we're really shooting for. So remember, what trumps lower carb? What trumps it is low insulin. And sugars will give you a higher insulin bump than will total carbs. All right. And don't forget that if you have fiber in there, that has to be subtracted from the total carbohydrates too. But for heaven's sakes, yogurt never has fiber in it, except for our homemade fiber. All right. So that's how I pick. So go and pick the lowest sugar plain yogurt that you can, instead of going online and buying those little packets that are super expensive and hard to find. All that is dried up, ready to use yogurt cultures to make your homemade yogurt. Or you can just buy this stuff, use 2 tablespoons. In this whole thing, this is about 12 full servings of yogurt. All it is a culture, and you're growing more, so that you can use that as a base, all right, and to get your cultures going instead of buying the packets online. I love that. I don't buy the packets online anymore. Then I said, I want more than just a couple of cultures that are in just standard yogurt, and sometimes those cultures may not all be alive, right? So I went and I bought. The brand doesn't necessarily be important, but you buy kefir, right? Now this has 12 different or additional cultures in it, more than 2 of standardized yogurt. If you've ever tasted kefir, I have a pretty broad palate, meaning I like a lot of different tastes. I do not like kefir. It just tastes yucky to me. Don't worry, it's not going to change negatively the flavor of your yogurt when you go and you make it. Okay? So I get kefir, and I use about 2 to 4 tablespoons. It'll last forever. Just put it in your fridge. I pour out, shake it really well, pour out 2 to 4 tablespoons of the kefir. Sometimes I'll use my yogurt as well. Don't have to. You can use this as your starter base. This has more cultures than this is. And then the machine will cook those cultures, and they'll just explode. That's a bad word. They'll just grow. They'll proliferate, and they'll make that 2 tablespoons into this whole batch of nothing but yogurt. Awesome. Okay. And that's how you can do your homemade culture. Now, if I put 2 tablespoons of the kefir and 2 tablespoons of the yogurt in there, I don't have this much product. It's not going to just make something out of nothing. So what I use is I use this yummy stuff. Use heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. Grandma used this all the time when she made homemade whipped cream for your Christmas apple pie, right? Use that as a base. You can use half and half as the base. Both have no sugars in them. Don't worry about the fat. If you're on a ketogenic diet, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters. Don't go absolutely hog wild, but if you're having it for a treat or definitely as a meal, you're okay with it. The only time you would be concerned is if you're in a plateau breaking situation where you're trying to temporarily reduce your fat just for a couple of days and then boost it back up. That will keep your metabolism high and it'll keep your body from regulating and wanting to burn more fats. We've had programs on that. We'll talk about that later. So when I want to have yogurt, but I want it to be lower fat or fat free, then I just use our fat blocker, same one that's in our foods. So I'll put that in the yogurt to either make it fat free when I'm in that low fat regimen, when I so want to enjoy something yummy like yogurt. I love having more protein in there. So when the girls would take this to school, I would put right in, when I go to make it, I put our peptide protein. Now I admit that we don't offer the fat blocker and the peptide just by themselves, but we will. First quarter of 2019, they'll be available. You can buy them to do the exact same thing. So what I do when I didn't bring this home, this peptide by itself for my yogurt, I would just take our vanilla MRP, the shake, the meal replacement shake, and when I went to put it in a container for them to take it to school, I just put 2 scoops in there, then mix it up. If you put the meal replacement powder in with the yogurt when you're making it, the vitamins and minerals, the enzymes that are in there make it taste bad. The enzymes, I made this as a mistake. This is how I learned, is I thought, well, I want some enzymes in addition to the probiotics, right? So I cooked up a batch, opened it up the next morning, and whoa, it was awful. I had to throw the whole thing away. It's that bad. So don't make that mistake, meaning don't put the powdered vanilla shake mix in when you're making yogurt. Mix it in after it's already made. Then it's fine, okay? And then if you want to make it sweeter, which I do, I use our sweetener, because you don't want, my kids and my wife likes it a little bit sweeter. So I'll add our powdered sweetener when I'm making it, right, from the get-go. And it also, because of our sweetener, also has a prebiotic in it, where other sweeteners don't. And that's exactly what probiotics want. So the probiotic that gives us our stomach relief needs a food base. It can use sugar and glucoses, but I don't want to put that in there. So I put prebiotics, and that's food base for the probiotics. Thumbs up. I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I love that. Now, my wife does like that. Just kind of let me recap real quick. To make it really simple, you don't want to do tons of mixing, right? All you do is you can cook it in a pan, or if you're a little lazy like me, you can get the machine that I talked about. You can do it in a pressure cooker. Don't tell, but I learned this. I just bought a pressure cooker for my wife for Christmas. She doesn't know this yet. And it has a yogurt feature in it. It's a programmable one. And I now can cook and make 6 quarts of yogurt all at one time. Awesome. The only feature it doesn't have is the cooling. But I found that the cooling feature that I use on this machine, this Cuisinart, really doesn't get it as cold as you need to, meaning you don't leave it in there permanently. I still take it out of here and put it right in the fridge. to completely chill it. And so I don't care if it doesn't have the chilling feature, because as soon as it cooks, generally for 8 hours, I just take it out and put it in the fridge anyway to have it complete the cycle. The fridge is what will firm up the yogurt and make it nice and solid, or firmer, I should say. So you don't have to buy the machine. If you have a pressure cooker, you can do it in pressure cooker, or if you're going to get one for Christmas, get one that has a yogurt feature, which is just basically really low temperature. Okay, easy peasy. So to make it easy, all you really need to make your own yogurt is you could go as simple as get a yogurt base, either or, okay, like a kefir yogurt base. I like using both. And cream, or half and half. And pour that in your mix. 8 hours later, it's yogurt. Throw it in the fridge. It's firm, ready to eat. That's how simple it can be. Now, I like mine sweeter, so we add our sweetener to it, right? No calories. I don't have to worry about knocking me out of ketosis. I add protein to it because I want the kids to have a protein snack, not just eat something without much nourishment. And if I'm on a low-fat day, I'll add a fat blocker, not absolutely required. The only thing I also add is I'll add vanilla. I bought this in Mexico. I love this one just because it tastes better than stuff you buy in the store, and it's a lot cheaper. Just a little bit of vanilla. It's not absolutely necessary. Just a little bit goes a long ways. And the only other thing I'll add, let me grab this, is sour cream. Now, you don't have to do this. It's not absolutely required. I get just regular sour cream, and I'll put it in. I'll put about a third of the total volume, like this much. I'll put about a third of it of yogurt or sour cream in there, because my wife likes more firm yogurt. That's the only way. And the more fat that's in there, the firmer it'll get. And since sour cream has already been stabilized at that more thickness, then I'll use it as a thickening base. But you don't have to. It adds really nice creaminess. Now, so if I was to take this, in fact I will, and you run it over your palate, it is as creamy as any ice cream you've ever had. It's delicious. And then you can have that palate's satisfaction that you're expecting. But this way, you get to have yogurt. You don't have any high carbs. Even though this yogurt here had a total of 7 grams of carbs, the ratio that I'm using, because if you remember, I'm only using 2 to 4 tablespoons for this whole batch of 12 servings. It means I'm getting less than 1 gram of carb per serving. I can handle that. You can handle that. It's fine. So don't be over concerned when you have you're getting your source from a very, very small ratio of carbs. And I think that's about it on the yogurt making and how I use that as a functional food. What happens is how I therapeutically use this is I will wake up in the morning and I get up, drink my water, take maybe 1 tablespoon of yogurt and just put it in my mouth. I'll do it before my workout. I'll do it even when I'm fasting, my intermittent fast. I don't eat it for food energy. I want to build those cultures up. I want that bacteria already going by the time I eat my meal. I've found that it's a great way just to start my culture going throughout the rest of the day. If I do that, it really eliminates my upset stomachs from happening. Now, if I'm sick, or if the kids are sick, like they're starting to come down with the flu, remember, one of the reasons why, you don't know if it's a virus or it's a bacteria. We don't know unless you have it tested, right? Or them tested. So there's no downside to treating it if it's a bacterial source of why they're feeling sick, why their immune system is weaker. So why not just give it a shot in the arm with some strength? So I always give them digestive enzymes in a capsule form and I give them a little bit of yogurt just to help boost up that strength, to give their bodies, an extra boost of how to fight off whatever elements is there. If it's not a bacteria base, well, there's no harm done, because first, it's only a tablespoon worth. So if they don't feel like eating, I only got to talk them into eating one tablespoon. And if they are hungry, then no harm done there. That is how I use it as a tool. And I got to tell you, my wife and I, my kids, we are much healthier. I don't have my stomach ache problems. It's a wonderful treat. If I want to sit down and watch a movie and I want to be able to have what generally would be my bowl of ice cream, I'll have usually about half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of yogurt. I don't measure it out because I'm watching calories. That's what I prefer as far as the amount. I don't need more than that. Sometimes I'll put a little bit, if I've been in already a low carb day, for texture, I'll put in some, literally half a teaspoon of oats in there. That gives me nice texture. I put some berries in there. I don't load it up with, these are fresh berries or frozen berries that not are in sauce. Then I can make my own berry flavored yogurt that's not with sugar and high fructose corn syrup, right? You don't need that many. You can use any one, blueberries or raspberries or blackberries. Any of those would taste fantastic. I like, almost every time I'll put some almonds in it, because that'll give me that crunch and that mouthfeel, and I love the flavor. So I'll sprinkle a few almonds on it. And I got to tell you, it's a great way to satisfy a craving, and you can control how sweet it is, how sour it is. And oh, you know what? There's one more thing I forgot to tell you. I didn't bring the bottle. Sorry. Is when I'm making the yogurt as part of the base, I'll put in 4 pumps of our omega oil. Why do I do that? Because of the fats that we're getting from the cream, from the sour cream, if you're going to go that way, they are omega-6 based. They're not omega-3. We're already getting too many omega-6s. So when I use our omega oil, it's 2.5 times more omega-3 to the omega-6. So it helps balance that out to having a higher ratio of the omega-3s. I found that if I go more than about 6 pumps per batch, then I start to get some separation. The fat, that they don't mix real well. And but 4 to 6 is fine. It doesn't affect the taste at all. And I know that the omegas are in there doing me good. So hopefully this has been helpful. I want the holidays are a common time where we start to get upset stomachs or digestive issues. Our digestive system is so important to keep it healthy and vibrant, strong, and able to fight off the enemies that we have. And no better way to do it than by eating yummy foods. And if you're doing the yogurt at home, you can control it. By the way, just as a little tidbit of things I've learned through making it, if you start your base with a yogurt, so you have the cultures, and if you want to go ahead and get some kefir, like one time, you got, between the two of them, I have now 15, 16 cultures. As long as you don't eat all the yogurt, right, you save a little bit of it. When you go to add the other, like the cream and their sweetener, that will grow. You don't need a lot, just a little bit of the culture, then you don't have to buy this anymore. Sometimes though, my family eats all the yogurt and I don't have a base to carry on to the next batch. So I got to start all over again. But you could do that and it works perfectly. It works fine. That's how breads, famous breads, they talk about the culture, the yeast that they're using they've had it for 200 years. That's how they do it. They make a batch of bread, the yeast grows, they pull some of it out, and they use that to fertilize into the next batch. That's all you're doing when you save a little bit of the yogurt for your next batch. Great tips that I've learned. Very, very great very efficient, very healthy way to keep your stomach happy. So hopefully this has been helpful. That's it for me. Send us any emails and ask any questions. How to make yogurt, it's just really simple. You just Google it online, how to make yogurt at home. Again, you don't need a machine. You don't have to have a fancy pressure cooker like I bought for Christmas. You can cook it on a pan. It just takes a little bit more effort. You got to have a thermometer. And so if you want to get a machine, this one I think cost me $40, $45 maybe. So it's not very much. And enjoy. Maybe send me what recipe you found to be excellent and you love, and I'll steal it from you and I'll tell you the ones that I'm doing in the future. Thank you again. Merry Christmas to all of you, and we'll talk to you later.